Joining us now for some analysis is Luis Miguel Castilla. He is a former Minister of Economy and Finance of Peru. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
First, I'd like to get your reaction to Chinese President Xi Jinping's messages to CELAC leaders. First, the financing, the imports, and investment, especially given your background as an economist and former finance minister of Peru.
I think this is a very timely meeting because it's in the midst of a trade war and the entente of a trade war after the agreement between China and the U.S. And this should boost further collaboration. One has to remember that most of South American countries, China is the main trading partner, and China has become an important source of foreign direct investment, not only in natural resources, but in key sectors such as infrastructure. So I think the announcements made by the leadership of China and the Latin American presidents that are in Beijing is very, very important, so as to show that if we collaborate and we cooperate in a common agenda, it is better than having bickerings or fights that lead to nowhere. I think most countries in the region are really in need of more finance and more collaboration to not only tackle development goals, but to tackle global goals such as climate change and energy transition. And I think this is a very, very important meeting that should set the tone of stronger ties between South America, Latin America, and China.
Right. I mean, the region has hosted several major global summits within the past year. We had G20 APEC at the end of last year. Brazil is hosting BRICS. You said it yourself that for a lot of these countries, China is their largest trading partner. How are they viewing this relationship with China, and what are the leaders hoping to accomplish while they are there in Beijing?
I think that the relationship has evolved initially from one where standards perhaps were not the best, but I think there's been an evolution, and now we have very sophisticated foreign direct investors from China that operate in countries such as Peru, in the mining and the energy infrastructure sectors, in finance and construction. And so there's been, I think, a more positive sentiment towards investment coming from China. The free trade agreement has boosted confidence because it has enabled further ties in non-traditional sectors such as foodstuffs and fishing products that are being demanded by Chinese. We also import a lot of Chinese goods that are of increasing quality and very competitive. And I think overall, as we approach sort of the Financing for Development Conference in Spain in July of this year, 10 years after sort of the pledge to be able to escalate the cooperation to meet sustainable development goals that apply for all countries. I think this is a good turning point, a good starting point for that further engagement of the Global South. I think if we work together as equals, as partners, strategic partners with respect, we're able to actually go way beyond than just focusing on bilateral needs. I think the region as a whole will benefit, putting differences aside, from closer ties with the rest of the world, including obviously China, that is a key partner for countries such as Peru and others in South America.
We have about 30 seconds left. You mentioned the development and with infrastructure. We know that China has had a large presence in the region for many, many years, especially with the Belt and Road Initiative. You mentioned the Chancay port outside of Lima that was just inaugurated last year. Colombia also set to sign onto the BRI as well. What does the future infrastructure development, sustainable development, look like?
Very promising, because we have a big gap to be filled. In Peru, it accounts for 30% of our GDP. And we need investment from all over the place, all over the world, China included, and technology. And I think the free trade agreement and the infrastructures in key sensitive areas such as ports will enable closing the geographical distances we have with China and Asia with Latin America. So this is a clear opportunity to boost growth. Latin America is one of the slowest growing regions in the world, and we need to find further engines of growth. And this is a way to go forward, in my view.
Luis Miguel Castilla, we appreciate your insight. Thank you so much for joining us from Lima.
Thank you very much.